Hello, beautiful lights. I am your host, Kimberly Barrett. Welcome to the Sharing Love and Light Show, Vibration and Consciousness on the Planet. I am a psychic medium, quantum energy healer, and intuitive coach here to help you experience light and love. On this show, I will help you tap into your personal power and shift your energy so you can step into your life's purpose and manifest your dreams. I believe that love is not a verb, it is a state of being. Stay with me for the next hour and unlock the quantum energy gifts that are already in you. You're listening to the Sharing Love and Light Show starting now. Hello, beautiful lights. It's your host, Kimberly Barrett. You're listening to the Sharing Love and Light Show live on Transformation Talk Radio. We are here every first and third Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. In the past few shows, we've been talking about how sharing our love and light can help with raising the vibration and consciousness on the planet. And tonight, we have a very special guest with us who will be sharing her love, light, and experience with us on using the breath for peace. I met Melanie in the Fearless Feminine Academy by Super Coach Dr. Megan Monday about a year ago, and she has immensely helped me by sharing her amazing sacred knowledge and simple tools. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Melanie Johl is an international yoga instructor. She was blessed by Guru, and I might not say this right, Melanie, you might need to help me, Swami Vishnu Devananda. Is that right?
Swami Vishnu Devananda. Yeah.
Devananda. As an infant, and I have heard of the Swami. I just had not practiced pronouncing that before coming on, but that's okay. So Melanie has been practicing and teaching yoga for the past 22 years. She is so amazing. Melanie was a former dancer and longtime student of Pilates. She incorporates extensive dance and movement knowledge into her teaching and coaching practices. She is insightful. She is an intuitive healer, spiritual coach, and respected leader and teacher of private and group yoga classes, as well as private and group breathing classes, which I have personally taken, so I can attest to how amazing they are. Melanie has worked with many famous people in her one-on-one coaching. Her enthusiasm, spirit, knowledge sent her on a spiritual journey of discovery, working and studying with many powerful teachers worldwide. And tonight, she's been led to share her knowledge with us. So welcome, Melanie.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
I wanted to share all of it. And that is not even everything. If you look at her bio on my host page, you can see more about Melanie and the work that she does. So Melanie, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on here. You are just one of my favorite people. I was thinking, we were talking about this show the other night, and I was thinking about how I've heard from many of my listeners and many people in my life about their increased stress levels over the past couple of years. And we have been focusing on this show on providing people with simple, although not always easy, tools to help cope through whatever they're experiencing in this now time. So I was hoping that we could talk a little bit about your experience, strength, and hope, and things that kind of talk about, you're in New York, right? So that's been hit pretty hard.
Yeah, New York has been, it's been a crazy time here. It's been pretty intense. A lot of energy and a lot of intensity, and but a lot of beauty as well, of course. But we have been hit, and we're breathing through it every minute.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing you say. Tell me a little bit about your experience, I would say, growing up and how it led you into choosing to offer these breathing classes recently.
Sure. So I'm a native New Yorker, and before I was even conceived, my mom was practicing yoga for about 3 years with a wonderful, really amazing guru, Swami Vishnu Devananda, who Kimberly mentioned. And so I was basically born into a life of yoga, and he blessed me when I was a baby, and I didn't realize what a gift that was growing up. I used to complain when my mom would say to my sister and I that we had to go to the yoga center. She teases me about that now. But when we would get there, I would just be in heaven, and I loved being there. And so it was always a foundational part of my life. And the traditional practices, one of which is the breathing practices in yoga, were a big part of my formative years.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they talk about yoga, they think of kind of the Western yoga where it's Ashtanga and it's kind of the stretching and those type of things. And I think a lot of people don't realize that yoga is so much more than that. So can you tell me, just in your terms, what yoga really means? Like, as a teacher, what would you tell someone if they were like, tell me about yoga? What is yoga?
Sure. So in brief, I would say that yoga it means union. So union of body, mind, and spirit, but really it's a science of proper living. So there's so much that is within the yoga traditions, right? It's not only the physical, it's not only the breathing. There's also a philosophy. There's also the ancient wisdom of the medicinal part, the Ayurveda. So there are many different parts to the yoga traditions, right? But we do tend to think of it as a physical activity. Like, we're going to do a yoga headstand. We're going to do a yoga vinyasa. And we're going to flow through a bunch of postures. Many times people aren't aware that there are breathing exercises. And in some classes, you may get one or two of the breathing practices, but it's not always taught all the time. But traditionally, it was part of the yoga practice every day. And I don't know if I've answered your question, but I would say—
You answered it beautifully, absolutely beautifully, that yoga itself is union. And we've been talking about how can we, in these times when things are really stressful, when there's a lot going on, I have a lot of clients that talk about how do you manage difficult people and things like that. And from watching you and being around you and witnessing what you've been through, and I can even hear it in your answers, that if you're really practicing these things, you can be in a peaceful place. And so you're not triggered as much, that you can find more peace in your life. You can find that pathway to not reacting, really being able to be fully present. And then when you do have stress and fear and things like that, we talked about fear a lot at Fearless Feminine Academy, don't figure, right? That when there is fear, that you can really breathe through it. And I know that there's a lot of people facing a lot of different fears right now. Just to throw it out there, we're also in a lot of planets are in retrograde. And astrologically, that means that we're really shifting and changing. And if you're not ready to embrace change, you're going to have a really hard time right now. And I think breathing even helps us embrace change a little bit easier. So your answers were beautiful around that. And I know that you are willing to share a lot of your knowledge with us tonight. I'm so excited.
I want to add one thing, if you don't mind. There's something that my guru would talk about all the time when he talked about yoga. He would say there are five foundational parts of yoga, and it's proper relaxation, proper breathing, proper exercise, proper diet, and meditation.
Oh, wow. So that could be like a whole class.
Right. It's sort of all of your life, right? It's a science of living well. And when you do those things, and we know this because modern science and our modern culture talks about these things as well, right? But maybe in a more compartmentalized like way, like you really want to do this for your diet, or there are 10 different ways to do your diet, right? Which of course it's very individual.
And I love what you're saying, because you are very, very intuitive as well. And for my listeners, intuitive is following your inner guidance. That I talk often about us being energy beings, right? And that we are infinite, unlimited energy beings. And when we have that, tap into who we really are, we can tap into that intuitive piece of us. And that guides us. And I love that you do a lot of your work intuitively, right? So we have a few minutes before we're going to take break. I was wondering if off the top of your intuitive tongue, so to speak, if you could start us with a breathing exercise. And if you're driving right now, we are recording this, right? So if you're not able to really do some of this right now, you can come back later and definitely listen to this again or watch the YouTube or the podcast. I think it's also Facebook Live that you can watch it. So Melanie, what would you share with us right now?
So a very simple practice, and this comes from the yoga tradition actually, but what we would want to do first is to just be able to tap into our own breathing. So why don't we do a breathing where we make a sound, and it's just sort of the sound that you would make when you're fogging a mirror, right? It kind of sounds
like a ha sound.
Not really a ha. It's like Darth Vader, like,
okay.
Almost like you're saying home, but without the H.
There we go.
Inhale through your nose. It can be more like a ha or o, either way.
That feels so good.
So you're just hearing your breath as you exhale. You're inhaling through your nose. Now we're going to try to make the sound, but with our mouth closed. So you're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose, but try to make that sound. So if you imagine the waves on the shore, it's similar sound. So you kind of have to lift your glottis, which is that little thing that hangs down in the back of your throat. Let's do one more of those.
What a great way to send us off onto a break. We're going to take a brief break. Oh, keep finishing. Go ahead.
Kind of like the ocean. So if we're sitting by the ocean, it calms us down.
Yeah. And it just calmed me down. I was like, what a wonderful way we need to take a break. But what a wonderful way to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk to Melanie Johl. You are so amazing. I'm just feeling peace just from doing the breaths and from sitting here and I get to see her face on the screen, and it is so peaceful. It's calming me down. I'm usually a very hyper person, and I feel like I'm like really calm on here with you tonight. So we're going to go take a brief break, and we'll be back soon. All right. Welcome back. You are listening to the Sharing Love and Light Show with me, Kimberly Barrett, and my special guest tonight, Melanie Johl. Before we get back into Breathing for Peace, I want to make sure you know how to contact us. I can be reached through my website, sharingloveandlightshow.com. You can reach our special guest, Melanie Johl, through her Facebook page, Melanie Johl, that's Johl, and Melanie is spelled Melanie. I wanted to let you know also, in honor of Halloween and All Hallows Eve, I am offering a half price special on psychic mediumship readings. You can access this on my website. So let's get back into Melanie. I am having so much fun with you. So welcome back. We were just doing an amazing breathing technique. Is there anything else you want to say about this breath that you were just walking us through?
Sure. So Ujjayi breathing, which is what we just did, which I sometimes refer to as ocean breath, or a breathing where you're pretending as if you were going to fog your mirror up. You know, if you're in the bathroom and all of the condensation makes your mirror, you know, and you go, oh, that's not maybe a good example. It's when you're in the car, it's really cold and the windows get fogged, and then you, right? You defog with your warm breath. It's that sound, that breathing, when you do a repetitive practice, a few of them, at least 5 or so, it calms your nervous system and it calms your mind, because it gives your mind a focal point, because you're listening to the sound of your breath. So it's super simple. We're literally within a few breaths. We only did 3 or 4 of them, Kimberly, or maybe 5 or 6 max. It shifts your energy pretty quickly. So it's something that you can practice, and you can get used to that sensation of making the sound, even with your mouth closed. And it just calms things down. It helps you to ground in a very simple
way. I love that. And if there's something I need often, it's grounding.
Many of us, life is so crazy. Things are speeding up. Things are, coming at us from every direction at any given moment. So any simple practice that we can use, that we can do without taking a whole lot of time out of our day, can be incredibly, it can be priceless actually, but it can be so beneficial.
You can do that one while driving, while cooking, while taking care of the kids, right?
Absolutely.
My understanding from one of my yoga instructors is that you can do that while you're doing your yoga practice, is practice that breath.
Right. Which we
Yeah. And, Mindfulness Magazine just had a whole article about the vagus nerve. Mm-hmm. And how the breath can help calm that down. And this sounds like one of them.
Absolutely.
Do you know if it also affects the olfactory gland? Do you know much about that?
Specifically, if it does, but I would imagine that it does. I would imagine that the answer would be yes, but I can't say.
And you don't have to know that one. I just was curious.
Good question. I love it.
So something for both of us to look up, right? It just popped in my head as I was talking to you, but it doesn't even matter, what makes it work. For me, it's not like why. It's what do I need to do and how do I do it?
Right.
And I was hearing that. Yeah, I was hearing that around some people who were talking about de-stressing, and they're like, it doesn't matter why anymore. It's what and how.
Exactly. Simple, right?
Give us some more what's and hows.
Right? You just want to get that result. It doesn't matter why. You just want to have that result where you feel better. Period.
Yeah. So that's one that you can do, is that, kind of like fogging up a glass, or it sounds like the ocean when you're that
sound. I like to also sometimes say, just think of Darth Vader, the sound that Darth Vader makes. That I say it because it makes me laugh, but I loved Star Wars as well, big Star Wars geek. And it's true. It sounds like that.
It sounds like the Darth Vader breathing.
Right.
Yeah. So for my listeners, do you want to do that one? Yeah. So for the listeners, do you want to do that one more time and then bring up another one for us? I'm just addicted to your breathing, so I might just keep having you do that with us.
Do you know what's really simple and also very impactful is to just breathe naturally and listen to your breath as it goes in and goes out, or as the inhalation is happening and as the exhalation is happening. So what we'll do is we'll go from the Ujjayi breath into a natural or whatever is natural for you in this moment, because our natural pattern changes all the time. So we'll just do some normal breathing after. We'll do maybe 6 rounds. I'll just talk you through it. Okay.
That sounds great. And then just a question that popped in my head that might come from my listeners. If their thinking mind starts chattering a lot, what do they need to do?
Right. That happens. And that's very natural. It's actually the nature of our mind is to chatter. Right. And it takes practice to quiet that. And usually it takes time before that you actually have that experience where it's becoming quiet. So the simplest thing to do is to say, oh, it's happening again. My mind is going all the way into like the whole laundry list of things. I'm just going to bring my attention back to my breath.
So just to consciously come back to the breath.
Right.
Awesome.
And what you can do is in your mind, you can say, I'm inhaling as you're inhaling, and I'm exhaling as you're exhaling. Or you can just say, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale as you're breathing. So you're focusing your mind by mentally saying it to yourself. If just focusing on it doesn't quite do the trick, right?
That sounds great. I'm excited to do this. You're just helping me get calmer today.
Yeah. And we can also do another practice. Of course, we can do a few practices, but I have another one for you as well, right on topic for tonight.
Awesome. Let's go.
So we'll recap the Ujjayi breathing. So the Ujjayi breathing is inhaling through the nose and then exhaling the sound like the ocean. So you're going to inhale through the nose and exhaling gently. Inhaling. Let's do one more. Inhale. Now you're going to do breathing through the nostrils. So you're going to inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Good. You can continue with the Ujjayi sound. That was beautiful, Kimberly. I heard it. Inhale. And if you want to continue with Ujjayi, you're going to make that sound, but it's internal. Now we're going to let go of the Ujjayi breath and just breathe through the nostrils. So inhaling, exhaling, just a normal exhale. Just notice it. So you're going to inhale, just a natural inhalation in your own timing. Exhale. Good. It's that simple. And you let your breathing come back into its natural rhythm. So eventually it won't be quite as long and slow, and that's fine. It's very calming. Great. So
that's wonderful.
You can do the natural breathing cycle, just noticing your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. You can do that to lead into your Ujjayi practice and then to finish your Ujjayi practice. Or you can do some Ujjayi breaths and then just let your breath settle down into its natural rhythm again, letting go of the sound of the Ujjayi and just breathing naturally and noticing as you're inhaling, noticing as you're exhaling.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're just bringing peace into my body tonight. I hope that my listeners are practicing this and getting a little bit more peace. We're going to skip the break and go into first, if you can tell me just a little bit about your story. So I like to hear from people kind of like little snippets of the trials that they've been through and how they have gotten to where they're now sharing love and light with people. What brought you into this path? I know, you were like blessed at birth for one thing, right?
that did happen. That is a part of my life for sure. And I grew up with yoga. But when I was a kid, I wanted to. I grew up in New York City, and my parents were they were both actor, singer types, in the theater world and entertainment world. And so I wanted to be a dancer. And even though I was a yogi kid, I was also a New York kid. And eventually I became so serious about my dance training that I didn't continue to go to the yoga center because, of course, I was older. I was, 16, 17, and I was very, very dedicated to becoming a ballet dancer. And I was, thought I was like a big kid, so I could do what I wanted. And my mom said, okay. So eventually yoga was in the background, it wasn't in the foreground, but it was always a huge part of my life. And it went into the background a little bit further because I wound up burning out as a dancer. I was very, very depressed. I think I gained about 30 pounds. I ate ice cream and cookies every single day. I was just despondent, basically. Couldn't pick my face up off of the ground. And somehow, strangely, I wound up becoming a model. Of course, I lost some weight before that happened. And so then I was in this really wonderful but also intense world of part of the entertainment industry where there's such a focus on your physical appearance and not on your soul, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's a really wonderful, magical world to be a part of, but it's also very hard in many ways on your psyche.
There's some darkness to being in the entertainment business and to being in the modeling world, right? Yeah. Just like there's some darkness in ballet as well. Yeah.
Right. All of the business world, right? So the artistic business world, as well as the business world, like you're trying to climb the ladder, there's the rat race. With the arts, it can be very dark because the egos can get out of
dealing with the ego, right? It's not in check. Yeah.
So huge.
Including our own egos. I don't know anything about that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be very, very challenging. And so I went through a lot of challenging times. And when I was struggling, I would find myself chanting the mantras and doing meditation and doing little bits of, yoga poses and breathing. And that helped me tremendously. But I never thought that I would become a yoga teacher ever.
Yeah. So I'm getting chills as you're talking. So it's sort of like what you grew up with, you just kind of like picked it back up. Right. And I have some of that in my story where I had ditched some of my like intuitive and crystals and things like that. And when things got really tough, the first thing I picked up were those things, those simple things that I did when I was younger. I picked them right back up again. And it sounds like that's what you did is, that yoga training. I'm sure mom was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. Because now you're picking them up. What led you into becoming this like phenomenal woman and this, shining light?
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks so much. The short version of this story is that when I initially became a yoga teacher, it wasn't for a spiritual reason. So per se, I was modeling and I was acting. And I thought, well, I'm probably not going to model forever, and you never know if you're going to make any money as an actor. So maybe I should have a backup plan. And, I grew up with yoga and I love yoga and I love helping people. So I'll just get certified to do that. And I taught a little bit. I was still modeling and acting. And then I was kind of like, well, is this really a viable thing to do? Because this is 23 years ago, actually. And yoga was not in the mainstream as it is now. It was before Madonna brought, yoga to the sort of mainstream or the popular consciousness, right? The popular culture. And thank you, Madonna, for doing that when she did.
And it's pre-mindfulness, now it's sort of like we've got a mindfulness magazine and yoga magazine, and everyone goes to hot yoga, and you hear yoga a lot from people.
And you see it on commercials, you see it in advertisements, you see yoga studios in the corner, or, you know, a few in each town, I'm guessing. But back then it was still relatively like granola and hippy dippy, and people thought you were strange. So I was teaching a little bit, and then September 11th happened. And
that is a pivotal. Yeah. And you were in New York during September 11th.
And it changed everything for me because I saw it happen right in front of my eyes.
Oh, you're going to bring tears to my eyes. I'm going to breathe through this. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredibly shocking and awful and powerfully transformative for all of us and for the world. But my guru had been promoting world peace for my entire lifetime, and he had a dream of an event similar to September 11th, and that propelled him to make his life's mission to promote world peace through the teachings of yoga. And then I saw this event happen right in front of my eyes, and I was still pursuing acting and modeling. I was in fact on my way to a modeling job that morning, even though I was teaching yoga already. And I just saw it and I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing?
It's that spiritual awakening that hits us, right?
That was it. And I just thought, I want to help people to be able to find peace in this world. That was it.
And we want to create more peace. And I know that your guru master that's why I recognize the name, part of bringing this light to the world that we have now. Right. Part of that movement and really bringing that peace and really, you know, teaching as many people as he possibly could to really teaching teachers, which you've become one of those, you know, people that really you're bringing peace to the world consciously and constantly.
Thanks, Kimberly. I appreciate that. That's my mission. So in that moment, I thought I was raised with this mentor, with this guru, with this teacher, with this second father, you know, figure who modeled this for me. And it's my responsibility to carry on his legacy. And what am I doing? I am doing things that are fun and wonderful, but what impact am I actually having on the world? And so I just 360, I walked away from everything and I put all of my energy into yoga. And since then I've done countless trainings and courses and studied with healers and master shamans and wonderful elevated like sages and master.
And you're just taking those teachings and like sharing them out into the world. I'm telling you, I'm so blessed with the people that have crossed my path. Right. And now I get to be blessed with sharing Love and Light Show and be able to like bring you on. You said you had another breathing technique for us. Walk us through that one.
Yeah. So I would love to share peace breathing with you. And this peace breathing is practiced in many traditions. It's something that we do in the yoga tradition as well, but it's not called peace breathing. And in fact, in the Western model, it is called box breathing. So EMS workers use box breathing when they have somebody who's in distress or who's in a very stressful state, and they do box breathing to lower their nervous system and their heart rate and to calm them. But peace breathing is a name that I learned from my Maori teachers in New Zealand. Maori are the indigenous of New Zealand. And my teacher, Hirani Reedy, you can look him up on Facebook, he taught this to me. So it's simply inhaling, holding the breath, exhaling, and pausing. Or in the Western model, they would say holding the breath again, but it's pause. So we're going to do it on a 4 count. So it's inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and pausing for 4. So this calms the nervous system, parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system.
It'll wake you up. I am so excited you're sharing this one. I have to tell you that It's called peace breathing. It's called box breathing. And Marsha Linehan in dialectical behavioral therapy called it square breathing.
Right. Square breathing. That's another.
Yeah. And then I learned from the Navy SEALs that the Navy SEALs actually use this as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm telling you guys, this is like, you know, when I teach intensive outpatient and dialectical behavioral therapy to people that are really struggling with super high levels of anxiety and stress, that this is like the staple. I know that a lot of the rehabs are teaching it now, right? They call it the box breathing. I love your name for it. Let's do some peace breathing, Melanie. You're so amazing.
I love the peace breathing because that's the state that it induces within us, right? And that's your natural state, according to yogis and according to many ancient traditions. That is our natural state of being, but we forget, especially in our modern world, right? All over the world. All over this planet.
All over the planet that a lot of us forget. And can you briefly tell us who the Maori people are? Because I know it's sort of like people are doing box breathing and things like that, and they don't realize that this is like ancient.
It's ancient wisdom, all of the modern breathing practices. And it's fine that they are called, you know, in the Western world, a different, you know, box breathing or square breathing, right? But all of these breathing practices actually have ancient roots. And I like to honor the ancient traditions that they actually come from. And the Maori have practiced it. In the yoga tradition, it's also one of the practices. Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand before New Zealand was colonized by the English. So that's who the Maori are.
It gives me chills. I'm so excited.
And their traditions go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So
you guys, this is simple. So very simple.
We'll just take a few natural breaths, or normal breaths, I was going to say. So in your own rhythm, and then I'll start to talk you through the practice. So I want you to breathe through your nostrils the whole time. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes. So we'll just inhale and exhale. So it's your own timing. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. So we're going to do that one more time and then we'll start. So inhale and exhale. Good. Now we're going to start the peace breathing. So you're going to inhale for 4. So inhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and hold 1, 2, 3, 4 and exhale 1, 2, 3, 4 through the nose and pause. 2, 3, 4. Good. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and pause 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4 and pause. So we're just going to do 2 more rounds. If you want, you can close your eyes. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and pause. So we're going to do one more round. Dive into the silence. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and pause. Good. Now, before we talk, just take a few moments to breathe naturally. Just allow your breathing to settle down into its natural rhythm again, which only takes a few cycles usually. Just notice the energy within your being. So we've just cultivated an energy of calm, an energy of peace, and it was just that simple, a few rounds of peace breathing. So thank you for joining me for that. And for
I love that. We are getting ready to go on another little break. I hope that you are feeling peaceful out there if you're listening to this or if you're listening to the recording. We have Melanie Johl here helping us with peace breathing. It is so amazing. We are going to take a short break. And when we get back, we will wrap things up. And hopefully Melanie has one more amazing breathing technique for us. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, beautiful lights. You're listening to the Sharing Love and Light show with me, Kimberly Barrett. I am here with our special guest, Melanie Johl, talking about using the breath for peace, finding more peace, more balance, getting centered, getting grounded. Before we get into some more wonderful breath work, I want to make sure you know how to contact us. I can be reached through my website, sharingloveandlightshow.com. You can reach our special guest, Melanie Johl, through her Facebook page. It's Melanie, and her last name is Johl, Melanie Johl. I wanted to let you know, in honor of Halloween and All Hallows Eve in the month of October, I am offering a half-price special on psychic mediumship readings. You can access this on my website. The special code is October. So we're coming back in with Melanie, talking about doing this breath work. She's already gotten me feeling peaceful. I'm going to be like going to bed early tonight because I'm feeling really peaceful. You're really saving me. Just to tell you, I have throughout my life dealt with eating disorders and things like that. And when you gave me certain breathing techniques, I remember you sharing them in the Fearless Feminine Academy. And then Melanie, please tell us, you do a Zoom breathing class, right? When is that available and how can they access that?
So I'm starting a new group. It will be on Tuesday nights at 5:30 EST, so Eastern Standard Time. And it's, did I say that it's on Zoom? So it's on Zoom. It's a half an hour. And then there's time at the end for questions and answers. So it usually runs about 40 minutes, but the class actually ends at 30 minutes. And I share different breathing practices each time. It's a tapestry of practices from different traditions. I'm so excited that I'm stumbling on my words.
Oh, I love that you're stumbling because I stumble all the time. You can ask any of my listeners and I'm constantly tripping over my words.
Yeah.
So let's get back into these breathing techniques. Thank you for sharing that. And the reason I wanted Melanie to share that is because I've been to that class. I might even be in that class, right? It's really, really helpful. You've given me so many breathing techniques that help me. And of course, when I remember to use them. So I might ask you right before you get into one last breathing technique with us, what are tips for kind of remembering to use these things?
I think that it's the simple things that we forget to do, right? It's usually simple tools that can really make a big difference or have a big impact. And we tend to think that we have to like schedule an hour to sit down and, exercise or meditate or have a therapy session or a meeting with, whatever healer, whatever it is. And those things are wonderful, of course. And we do want to incorporate those things into our lives. But sometimes when we are stressed for whatever reason, or we are reacting to something, we get upset. Oh, my leg is cramping.
Oh, no. And I was just going to say, so right while your leg's cramping, what a perfect time to pause and breathe on the radio show. I love it.
So sometimes it's the simple things, not the things that take a lot of time. And so the easy way to remember is when you feel anxious when you feel scared, when you feel upset, when you feel stressed, just do a few moments of breathing. It doesn't even have to be a practice like peace breathing or Ujjayi breathing or any of
Just
the other
breathe,
practices that I
right?
can
Just
teach you.
remember to breathe.
Just sit, and you may even remember, some of you may have had that grandmother that would tell you, take 10 deep breaths, dear, when you get upset. That's an old teaching that our ancestors passed down from the ages, and it's every single grandmother, if you go far back enough, said that to the young ones. That's really how simple it is. Just
breathe. And I tell people, do things like write it on a Post-it note, put it on the mirror, put it on the refrigerator, or whatever it is. So we're going to have just a few more minutes. Can you bring us into one more teaching?
Sure. You know what? I was just going to add that you can schedule it in, like, when I'm washing the dishes, I'm going to do peace breathing.
That's a good idea. So like just when I sit down in the car and get ready to drive, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths and then drive.
Right.
How many times do we rush? We are coming up on the holiday season. So your breathing stuff is like right on time. I know people, it's really funny because during fall and winter, we're supposed to slow down. That's our natural rhythm. And for us in Western culture, it's very much like speed up and do too much.
Right.
Right.
I love what you said about before you drive, take 3 deep breaths. And I would add that you can do that before any activity, because 3 breaths, whether they're deep breaths or just 3 breaths, only takes about a minute or less. So if you were going to make a phone call and you just sit and you take 3 breaths before you make the phone call. If you're going to send an email and or you're going to do some business, sit and take a few breaths and then do it. It just centers you, it calms you, it grounds you, and then you're more clear. So you're clear for the energy of the higher consciousness and whatever, way that you speak of that, the light, the path, the way, higher power, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, right? There are so many ways that we can think of this beautiful energy that inspires us and guides us. We hopefully want to invite that in, because then we're more efficient, we're more powerful, we have more light to share in the world, and we have more peace to share in the world.
I love you.
I love that you shared that, Kimberly. It's so great. And do that, at any time. It's great practice.
Yeah. Is there one more breath that you can take us through before we close out? I know we just have a couple more minutes.
Yeah. So a super simple way to do a practice that's also simple. But what I was going to say is it super simple tool that you can use to shift your energy. So if you are anxious, if you are stressed, if you're scared about what's happening in the world, right? Oh my gosh, am I going to be okay? This is so scary. And you get sort of locked down by it, right? We want to shift out of that so that we can flow through life, and so that we can be in our power and be fearless and be lights in the world and be love in the world and be peace in the world, right? So a super easy tool to use is inhaling through the nose, exhaling with a sigh. And it can be any sound, but I like to do an ah. You just sigh. Ah. And that's it. Just do that a few times.
Let's do it together.
Yeah, let's do it. So brings us an energy of satisfaction. So we'll do it again. So inhale. Now you can do it with an H in front of the so it's ha. So we'll do that.
That's going to be my new one. All right.
Inhale. And as you do that, you're just allowing any negativity to melt away. Let's do it one more time. And sometimes when I do that, it makes me laugh. So I wound up doing the ha ha ha.
And then we can do some laughter therapy. We have maybe a minute to wrap up. A little bit of laughter therapy. And I encourage anyone listening to this to laugh along. Just start laughing. I can't stop once I start. It's on purpose laughter therapy. I love it. And I was just thinking, I'm sure the Maoris did that too, like on purpose laughter.
Anything that makes us laugh, anything that makes us joyful is so good. And even if it's that simple, like you just
what a way to end the show. Oh my goodness. So we're going to have to wrap it up. I have been on here with Melanie Johl. She is amazing. You said about 23 years of yoga, blessed by her guru master.
Kimberly, you are so amazing. You're so awesome. And you are so great at what you do. And anybody who is listening to this should please not miss the opportunity to take Kimberly up on her month-long half-price special and do a session with her because she's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Melanie. I love you. Unexpected, but totally. So and true. I learned to do willing hands. When someone gives you a compliment, you turn your hands out. And I know some of my listeners have a hard time with the self-esteem stuff. And I say, turn your hands out. And you say, I receive.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
You. Thank you.
Energy and just imagine
Take that energy and just, I'm going to allow. I am allowing that in. I am allowing the love.
Feel that beautiful
we are going to wrap it up. It has been such a blessing doing this with you. It is Melanie Johl. You can reach her on her Facebook page. I know she has a brand new website that's also going to come out live really soon.
MelanieJohl.com.
MelanieJohl.com. That's simple, right? So we are going to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming. Beautiful lights. We are here every fourth. I'm sorry, let me start over again. This is what happens. We are here every first Tuesday and every third Tuesday on Transformation Talk Radio. I love Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Sharing Love and Light show, consciousness and vibration on the planet. I am your host, Kimberly Barrett. We had our wonderful special guest tonight, Melanie Johl. Our next show is going to be in 2 weeks. We're going to have fabulous Dr. Megan Monday on here. Melanie and I both were with her in the Fearless Feminine Academy. I also did her glow. She is just absolutely amazing. So we are going to close out now. I love all of you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Sharing Love and Light show, vibration and consciousness on the planet, with me, Kimberly Barrett. Remember, love is not a verb, it is a state of mind. You've spent the last hour experiencing love and light and tapping into the quantum energy that already exists in you. But the journey doesn't stop here. Tune in every first and third Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio, as we continue exploring the energetic shifts happening in and around us with love and light. See you next time.